Welcome to Wizard Team, a Black magical podcast for Black magical stories.
Hi everyone, it's Bayana, Robyn, and Porshèa embarking on a journey through the many fantasy stories written by and about Black people. Currently, we're reading Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston. Today, we're discussing chapter 31.
So, what did we discuss on chapter 30? Well, the stuff started going down. I mean, the stuff has been going.
It went down. Now we're in the aftermath,
and we're just
still on the decline.
Yeah, I mean, last chapter we figured out how far down the stuff went.
Yeah.
So the bureau is on lockdown is locking down post hybrid attack. All of the trainees are being sent back to their dorm rooms. So all the trainees are going back to their dorm rooms. There's talk about how they're going to continue the camp and what this means for the rest of the summer. And not very many people realize that Maria Van Helsing is the magician's apprentice, but Amari was letting Elsie know kind of what went down when she was told that she needed to go to Agent Magnus's office right away. She makes her way down to the Bureau of Special Investigations and sees just how far locked down they are. Like, she gets off the elevator is like, "Where are you going?" She gets off the elevator, and an agent is like, "Where are you going? What you trying to do? Don't dawdle. Don't take too long, or I will come after you." But she finally gets to Magnus's office, and he promotes her to junior agent. Yay! And then she's now able to open the briefcase because she has officially inherited all of Quentin's belongings. In the briefcase, they find out who actually the black key holder, or who actually holds the black key. And while they're waiting to get permission to talk to the key holder, they go to the prison to see Moreau. When they get there to see and question Moreau, he's like, "Not everything that giggles is glitter," or whatever that saying is.
Not all he's reminded about
all the glitters and not everything that giggles is gold, or whatever. And Amari is like, "Hold up, Madam Violet said something about that." Decides to dispel Moreau, and realizes that Moreau is not Moreau and has never been Moreau, and they've been holding the wrong person this entire time.
Now, how y'all been imprisoning somebody and y'all didn't do some kind of check to make sure the identity was valid?
Because they know nothing about magicians. We also learned last week.
This is another thing that we learned last week, is that very nonchalantly, Amari was like, "Well, Maria is probably a tech magician, and Magnus, one of the greatest agents of all time, he's on the materials. He's got a shoe deal with the Delacroix or whatever. You could catch his, you could buy his stunner stick axe at Amazon for $49.99. Like, he's like, "I'm sorry, what? The what? Who? What's a tech magician?" Because they don't even know that that's a thing that they can do. So we find out the real depth of the Bureau's ignorance when it comes to magicians, and they know that illusions exist, but they have no idea how to stop them.
I mean, it's almost as if the policy of "don't ask, don't tell" is not actually useful.
Ooh. Almost.
Who would have thunk?
Who'd have thunk?
Who'd have thought it?
Who was it that said "know thine enemy"? And wasn't that like a very Sean Zewer? No. Absolutely not.
I'm glad you caught it.
Like, let me stop myself.
I think I put Shang-Chi.
Oh my god.
And some other, that was very Madame Asia. I'm very sorry.
Oh my gosh.
What is the man's name?
The Art of War by what is his name? I have not read it, so that's my ignorance of that.
I haven't either, but it's like a part of the like.
Oh, Sun Tzu.
Sun Tzu. Okay.
Sun Tzu.
Not a Marvel hero.
Not a Marvel mashup. It
was at least it wasn't Shield this time.
But a lot of times, like, they do like that for like fictional heroes or whatever, especially like a Marvel or something. Like, they'll base it on something that everybody knows, and then they'll do like a hybrid name, and you're like, oh, it's a fun twist on this character.
Mm-hmm. Whew, that was
wow.
Well, you avoided it. We're gonna move on.
I don't know if it was avoided, but we got through it.
Let's not speak of this again. That's
agreed.
Yeah, so after they find out, they're like, we're gonna go talk to the chief. And I think that's where we left off.
That's where we left off. And Magnus did say, like, oh, all y'all kids gotta go home. This is untenable. We don't know what we do.
Why is Amari sitting over here acting like she's like, oh, like I got you promised me I could save her Quentin, like
ma'am. No, it's so funny because I'm like he has the correct response, but I do feel for Amari in like the sense of like, I'm the hero of this story. You can't send me off into witness protection with my mom. Like, do you know who I am?
I know the rules of protagonism, and this is not going the way that it's supposed to go.
I'm the main character.
What are you doing? What do you mean? So Lord Kensington, doors open, and Amari realizes that they are not at the chief's office. Instead, they've been brought to the Department of Supernatural Investigations. Lord Kensington apologizes and says, I've been ordered to bring you here. And here goes.
You couldn't have said that from the jump. Like,
yeah, right. Like, my bad, y'all. Actually, we can't go this way.
We're being rerouted. We're being rerouted. Like, you could have just said that.
But I will say though that I kind of appreciate that bit of. I'm not gonna say that it's on purpose, but like one of the things I hate so much about like stories like action stories or whatever with AI is when the AI like narrates everything and then like I have been overrode, and it's like if I'm actually trying to do something like secretive or trying to reroute you, I don't want the AI
to tell you.
Yeah.
Okay. But that for me that tells the AI's a lot. I would rather the AI has no alliance than has a clear alliance, because then.
Well, I don't know that it has an alliance. I think that it.
Well, I'm just saying, like, you just don't program it that way.
Yeah, or you just say like, just do it, but don't tell anyone. You know what I mean? Like, if you put that in the order, like, not to say anything. Because I think we see later.
We only got 2 more chapters left, so later is
no. I mean, in this chapter,
like
how they can like disable some of the elevator like protocol. You know what I mean, or like their personalities, whatever. So yeah, I think it's possible for it to be like, oh, he can't say anything, but then when he gets there, he's like, my bad, y'all.
Wanted to say something. Like, let me just let y'all know right now, like, I didn't do this. I'm like, this is an order. This is not a choice. Like,
it's above me.
Yeah, exactly. So here's Director Van Helsing with his hating self. And he's in the lobby with his arms crossed. Behind him is a whole squadron of agents. Magnus is like, we do not have time for any of this. Moreau is free. The person who has a black book isn't simply some apprentice magician. It's one of the Knight brothers. Van Helsing is like, I received the alert. Peters, come stand next to me. So Amari does what she's told, but only because Magnus like tells her to.
Yeah.
Van Helsing sees Amari's junior agent badge and says, if I haven't made this clear enough, there will be no magicians in my department as long as I am director. He puts a finger onto her badge and says, demoted. So he
I
had
just feel
time
like
in the middle of the security situation. He had time to be a bigot and a hater.
That's his
It's
primary
also
function.
So yeah, he's so irksome.
There will not be a magician in my department. Well, one, too late.
First of all,
but two,
centuries too late.
Centuries.
Your own family.
It's been above you for a while. It's not above you now. It's been above you your entire existence. But also, like, it's your department, as in, like, you lead it right now, but it doesn't belong to you. You don't own it. You can be fired. You can be replaced.
It's not a permanent placement for you. This is not written in stone. You could. That's what I'm saying when he said, "As long as I'm here," I'm like, and that can be undone today,
right?
Then
we can make that happen
today,
right? You can go.
Your suitcase could be sent after you today,
right?
And, I mean, he doesn't know this, but we just realized how actually beneficial it is to have a magician in your department, especially a loyal one who wants the same things that you want, because y'all don't know nothing.
Y'all don't know nothing at all.
Especially an 12-year-old who is trying to prove themselves so much they just let stuff slip. They're not even, she just slip it. Oh, yeah, check wizard. What? She's like, oh, well, so I'm supposed to get it to myself. And you might have should have kept that to yourself. But now that you let it slip, let's think
the
about
magicians are going to be so mad when they figure out all the stuff that she's just like accidentally
just giving.
They're already not happy with her for being a part of the bureau in the first place. But like, you just gonna tell them all our stuff? God,
well, and you're barely learning it. Like, it's like once you just learned that, and then you dropped it off to someone else to get it. Like, you didn't even sit and marinate with that for a minute. You just was like, here you go. Here's some information I just learned.
Oh, this isn't common knowledge? Like, no. None of this is common knowledge.
It should be, though. That's the thing.
It should be.
The thing is it should be. So I understand how she would not. Like, I understand how she would assume that it was, because they should know. So Amari's demoted, and then Van Helsing turns to Magnus and says, "How curious that your first move would be to head to the prison to make this remarkable discovery. Convenient, wouldn't you say? Look at Magnus the hero instead of Magnus the accomplice. Despite our differences, not in a million years would I have pegged you for a traitor." So I'm like, this is...
No one has ever praised this man for his detective skills.
Come on!
At most, he just governs a department where other people solve the mysteries around him. Like, he clearly, like, if this is how you detect,
it's bad.
Don't do it.
And so then he explains that they discovered that that the hybrids were able to teleport into the bureau because Magnus deactivated the shields. Amari's like, it wasn't. It was, but Magnus tells her to be quiet. Because clearly at this point, Van Helsing, not that he could have been trusted before, but he definitely can't be now. Van Helsing is like, this man doesn't deserve your loyalty. No one has access to your codes but you, Magnus. How far back does your treachery reach? Maria looked up to you. Did you convince her to betray both her family and the bureau? So that's the thing, is that actually reveals what the actual issue is. He doesn't want Maria to be culpable, or at least to believe that she's doing it on her own. It has to be somebody else.
He has to have a story behind how his star pupil daughter, his trophy daughter, could be led astray. And it has to be put on an adult and not him, because he's not the responsible adult.
And I'm sure he's like upset about her relationship with Magnus beforehand. Like, I'm sure he was jealous of that beforehand. So
he's been waiting to use as ammo, probably. Too, yeah.
And all of the times that Magnus and Fiona have just blatantly disregarded him and worked around him, right? So it's like, he knows that he doesn't have their respect. If not, like, they're loyal to the bureau, but are they loyal to him? Like, he knows he doesn't. They're not under his thumb by any means, and they see who he is. And so this is another way of solidifying power. Bringing them down and solidifying power underneath himself, because frankly, it's a PR nightmare. I'm sure now this is where we see Mama Van Helsing in live and cover-ups doing some work, doing some freelancing for the family, because she is like, this is a PR nightmare and we need to spin.
But at the same time too, I can see this being his He's like, I'm going down as my daughter being the one who's the ultimate traitor of the Bureau, then I'm bringing people down with me. You're not going to take me down by myself.
Yeah,
exactly. Because
he's
even
like,
Magnus,
he's a cornered animal.
Yeah.
Basically, he's like a cornered animal.
And Magnus is like, why would I be dumb enough to use a code that can easily be traced back to me? Why wouldn't I run off instead of sticking around here? And Van Helsing says,
all
both
good
are questions. And then he's like, Van Helsing is like, those are both questions I'm asking myself. I simply followed the evidence just as we're taught. It leads to you, Magnus. And it's like, no, you clearly didn't ask yourself the question, or at least like give yourself a real answer for those questions, because it's pretty obvious he's being framed. So
it's like, and it's like an obvious
again, it's like
frame job too,
right? But again, because he's trying to tie it all up, you know what I mean? He's letting his own biases and his own like personal ties to the situation like stop him from actually doing due diligence in this investigation. Like this narrative like suits him. You know what I mean? Like it actually works for him. And so instead of actually asking those questions and finding the real answers to it, he's like, nah, we can just stop here. It's fine.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, this is one of those frame jobs too, where the person who's doing the framing is probably like, no one's going to buy this, but it will buy us time. You know what I mean? Like they have to do, you know, they have to like dot the I's and cross the T's, and they ought like, it's like when you, when you're like doing like spam or whatever, and you're like, oh, really? You're a Nigerian prince? Okay. Like, it's like, we know what this is, but I still have to like take the time to like report the spam and block the account. And that, you know what I mean? It's like, no one's falling for it, but on the off chance that someone isn't, it buys the perpetrator time to like continue on and waste time for their adversaries. And he, because of his own agenda, has decided to like run with this easy excuse that like, Amari's been here for 3 months. Like, she's like, this don't make no sense. Like, Magnus is not this dumb. So, yeah, it's just
ridiculous.
But also, given that the perpetrator is likely a magician, it's also like the art of distraction, which is very much a magician quality. Like, look here, but I'm actually pulling the trick here. Exactly. That's literally what this is. This is just another distraction to keep them a mess. So for me, my main observation was like, with all the adults in this level of disarray and mistrust for each other, like, what do they really think is going to happen? Like, what do you think actually think they're going to solve if nobody's trusting anybody right now?
Nothing, literally. So after all that, Magnus, he looks at Amari, and Amari can tell that he's trying to tell her something. And then he surrenders because he's like, you know, I'm not going to make a scene, not going to make things worse. So yeah. Ridiculous. Van Helsing, after all this, Van Helsing should definitely
where are his performance reviews? Where are his evaluations? You know? Like, because he has not, there's nothing that has happened in this book. That's like something my first read through, I was not picking up on this, but this read through, what work does he do?
Right.
What investigation does he lead? Does he actually lead the pieces and collect the pieces for? Does he put a strategy together for? What does he do?
He's just a hater.
Takes pictures and gets his name, you know, in the papers and lives off of his own self-importance.
Yeah.
And covers up on his children stealing his credit cards.
Ugh. Okay. So Amari's led back to the youth dormitories by 2 agents. When they get to the room, the taller one explains that the bureau is on lockdown, but that the director wants her available for questioning first thing in the morning. And then they both leave. When Amari goes into the room, Elsie rushes over, pokes her head through the door into the hallway, and then like just, you know, see if the coast is clear, and then closes the door and tells Amari that she has a visitor. And that's when Dylan crawls out.
What a lockdown. What a lockdown. Because again, remember,
I was gonna say, to be clear, Dylan is a magician, and I think Elsie knows that. So it's possible he used some kind of spell to, like, you know, he might have an invisibility spell and could get in there pretty quickly, but still.
I'm just saying, please remember, Dylan does not stay in the dorms. He stays at his daddy's house, or
right.
like he's in the bureau, but he's upper floors. Like,
yeah.
So magician or not, it's like it's what we've been saying from the beginning. It's like they are so ignorant of like the capabilities and the possibilities of what magicians can do. Mm-hmm. Like that, like what good is what? And you have to think about it too from like Amari's perspective, and like what Magnus just kind of told us, that like Amari's in danger. How are they expecting to keep her safe from magicians?
Right.
You know? And like, and if you don't trust Amari, how are you supposed to, you just tell her that she needs to be made available, but like,
Magnus literally said he's gonna put her and her mother under protection, and the magician blatantly freaking threatened her after she dispelled him. So, excuse me, the priority level really should be really super high for her. But hating freaking Van Helsing, like the priority is always gonna be his family and his name, and so that the priority is cover up right now.
And not even his family, but not even his family. Like the because Dylan somehow snuck is not where he's supposed to be.
It's not about the well-being of the family. Yeah, it's about the name. It's about the reputation. Yeah,
the presentation of it all. Yeah, like, but it's just like funny to me to think about. The depths in which they are ignorant of all of the capabilities of what magicians can do. But and I go back to, we're focusing on magicians because that's who the protagonist and the antagonist are in this particular story. But there's so many different like magical supernatural beings that I'm sure it's just hubris and ego to be like, we've got it all figured out. Mm-hmm. This is the safest place to be. No one can get in or out. And like, not only can people obviously get in or out, like the people that are the most under suspicion and the most at risk are like, and easy targets are in your building, and you don't even know that they're not where they're supposed to be.
This sounds like a discussion on security theater, and because there's multiple things for me. One, I like, as a researcher, I enjoy being around other researchers or people who think like researchers, because the underlying fallacy of it all is like we can have as many hypotheses and like theories as you want, but like the understanding is like there will always be an unknown. There will always be knowledge that you can pursue. You're never going to always be able to obtain what you need to know to get everything. So to ever give a very specific like answer to something is like to like know that person is BSing, because there's never a specific answer. There are ways to think about a thing and a way to draw conclusions, but there's never a real like. So whenever someone is like very like statement heavy and giving like imperative, like this is the way things are, it's like you're BSing, and I know you're BSing because there's no way you can know that. And so the security theater is like a really big thing of that, like especially, and I know we know it because of like TSA and security theater, and how like badly they failed when people were like, they were actually tested on people who were bringing like devices through the security systems. But it's like security theater is all throughout everything that has like this idea and concept of like a place is secure always has a problem with security. And so it's like, it's just like a facade that they put out. Like you just need the name, like, oh, we just need the people to think that we're securing this area and see us around enough to not want to bother with getting into this place, because that'll be enough deterrence. Like not the actual security being good, but that like just like they'll be deterred because they don't want to have to be bothered with what security there is available.
Yeah, because of the perception and like you said, the theater of it all.
So Dylan's there, and he says that he heard about the codes tracing back to Magnus, but there's no way he would betray the Bureau like that. It had to be Maria. He's like, she must have framed him or something. I should have listened to you about her. Elsie throws a somber glance at the magazine covers framed above her bed because, again, like, you know, she's a vanquished stan, so I know she's sitting here like, that's crazy. Like, how can this be? How can my hero like be? Yeah.
Kill your darlings.
Right. And Dylan says, or stand no one.
Stand. Yeah. Your darlings.
Out of pocket. I know.
Can that be the name? I'm sorry. Can that be the name of this episode? Eat your darlings.
And it's like, does it apply?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think it does, but can it be the one for next? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, sorry.
We'll get there.
Eat your darling needs to be.
I know you may not trust me since I'm her brother, says Dylan, but I feel like it's my responsibility to do something about it. And then Amari then kind of drops the bomb that Moreau is actually free, like, because they wouldn't have heard that. He says one of his other apprentices was using an illusion to take his place. Elsie's hand goes to her mouth and is like, he's free. Dylan's eyes go wide. He stumbles over his words before he's finally able to say, for how long? Was he ever even captured? And Amari's like, I don't know, but I don't think Magnus would want me focused on clearing his name. I think he'd rather I do what he can't anymore, what my brother started before him. So she says she's going after the Black Key. And so yeah, she says she's going after the Black Key, which is great. I'm glad that she's kind of understands, like, okay, I know, you know, just like priorities in terms of like what actually matters in this moment, and clearing Magnus's name is a distraction and is part of, it's like what Porshèa was saying earlier about like how magicians work, of like, look over here and then I'm doing the thing, like you're not paying attention. So
which is how they got the Black Book, you know?
Right, exactly.
Well, this is not an attack, it's a heist.
It's exactly.
It's both.
It's both, yeah. But yeah. And it's like, yeah, it's like Amari finally taking Madame Violet's words into like she's actually internalizing them.
Yeah.
So yeah, so she explains.
I'm sorry. Just like when you said that, the theme came into my head. It's almost as if the theme of like that initial spell that was like the light spell, like Solace, and Dispel, they both illuminate the truth. They both illuminate what's there. And that's the ongoing lesson for Amari when it comes to like the magic she's picked up so far, is to think more about finding the truth and illuminating the truth and like bringing that to everyone over like Quentin is your like guiding star, but the thing to do along the way is just to like take away like, yes, you're not an accomplished magician and you don't know how to do the best solutions and you haven't been spending a lot of time doing that, but if you just break it down to the most basic concepts, you'll probably be able to get through this.
Yeah, fundamentals are like super important,
especially when it's like your first year learning how to do the thing you're doing.
Yeah, it's like you don't need all the flashy stuff, or the foul stuff. So Amari explains about knowing about where the key holder is, and like the fact that she has to go after it. Elsie's like, you know, you'd be breaking the Bureau's biggest oath. They could disband the entire Bureau. They throw you in Blackstone, which is like the, you know, prison. But Amari's like, my brother went missing trying to prevent this. I have to try. And so
why does stone gotta be black though?
I know. Ask yourself.
Think about your third eye. Open your third eye and question, why does stone gotta be black?
Why does stone gotta be black?
So yeah, so Dylan is like, I've got your back. I won't let Maria hurt anyone else. And then Elsie says, I guess I'm coming too. Dylan is like, no offense, I don't think that's a good idea. Amari and I at least have junior agent training to defend ourselves. And Elsie's like, but I have all the gadgets I've been working on.
Boop.
So, hello.
Trying to say, ain't nobody here to see you, Otis, to Elsie. And Elsie was like, I'm the one with all the records. They're here to see me.
Oh, God, that is like literally a top 2 pieces of cinema, and it's not number 2. That little intro, ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis.
I'm the one with all the records, and they're coming to see me.
Coming to see the temptation. Coming to see you. Anyway, I will say, like, I think that Elsie probably has an inkling that Dylan is a magician at this point, but it has not been explicitly said.
Okay,
right?
I couldn't remember.
I can't remember if Elsie knows or doesn't know.
Yeah,
I don't think I think she has a suspicion, but I don't recall it being explicit to
That's
Elsie.
possible.
No one has told Elsie. Amari hasn't told Elsie.
So wait, did Amari ever reveal that Magician Girl 18 was Dylan? Because at that no.
Okay.
Right.
She
knows
tell
that Maria's a magician.
Maria is a magician.
Yeah.
But she doesn't know that Dylan is. But I do think in this instance, and maybe it's just because like we stand Elsie over here. Okay, that's our girl. EG for 5G. I don't.
We have a strong tugboat for Amari and Elsie. We enjoy their friendship. We want to see it.
I do kind of feel like part of it is I have the gadgets, and part of it in my brain is I don't feel comfortable letting Amari just go with you, Dylan, and side-eyeing everybody.
That might not be on Dylan. Suspicion of Dylan being a magician. That might just be on Dylan being a Van Helsing.
Yeah, and it's true. And I'm saying like I'm also like projecting here, but I do feel like it's not just. I mean, it is also like we are in this together. This is like it has been like Elsie and Amari versus everybody since day one. But I just.
Yeah, I mean, she also says too, like she doesn't want to sit back and hide. Like she no longer wants to be
a coward, as she thinks of herself.
So there's that too. Like I think it's the like I have the tools and whatever. It could be a little bit of like not wanting Amari to be on her own or whatever. But it's also she's like, okay, this whole time Dylan and Amari have been the two who have been really at the head of this, like.
The action part?
Yeah, the action part. Like she's helped in the library a little bit and like kind of talked things through with Amari, but she hasn't actually been in the middle of like a situation like that.
Action.
So I think so it's definitely that. Amari's like, it's my idea, so it's my call. Elsie comes. Dylan says fine, but if something happens to her, it's on you. And now they just need a plan. Dylan says, leave it to me, just be ready to go. And that's where we're at. Today is BNC's birthday. We're not only celebrating 8 years of providing critical and creative content, but launching our Summer Baddie Road Trip campaign. Help us reach our goal of $1,000 a month in Patreon support by joining our Patreon at any tier. We'll be celebrating later today, May 17th at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern with our birthday live stream. Join us on YouTube and then become a BNC baddie at www.patreon.com/blacknerdscreate. Okay, so at 8 o'clock, there's an announcement that comes over the intercom from Chief Crow, who says that in light of the morning's attack and after a meeting with the directors of each department, they've decided to suspend this year's summer camp until they can verify that none of the other security protections have been compromised. They cannot, in good conscience, allow children to remain inside the facility. So that is...
I still really heavily appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like,
It's
they're
also
not
like
like, you can say. They're like, we're notifying your parents. They have a cover story for the parents who aren't within the who are not legacy.
They said non-legacy. And I'm like, excuse the F out of me. Y'all got a better term for people who don't like come on. Like, just like I think it's a thing that people have been pushing back on a lot is like labeling people by what they're not. And it's like, let's not do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say too, like, it's so funny that the state of YA middle grade is so, and it's such that like every time they put the well-being of children first, I'm like, wow.
It's shocking. It is shocking.
We've been talking
every
about
time.
But every
it's
time I'm
like, wow, it's a breath of fresh air. Y'all care about kids? That's crazy.
Right? And then to even say like, until we know, like, we don't even know the depths of this. Mm-hmm. So we're going to just put a pause until we figure out,
what's going on.
It's not like
admitting that is like an actual big step too. Like, adults are not great for their trajectory. Like, they're like the owning up to not knowing something, and I think that's really. I want to say that about like. I guess I'll say some of Gen X is good for this. I've known some of Gen X to be good for this, but also like millennials and further down, like, it's like being an adult, like, it's like, what is that? Like, we kind of like redefined what like adulthood has looked like for like, I think a lot of like, as time has gone on, a lot of generations have like redefined what childhood looks like, and that has changed the trajectory for what adulthood looks like. And like, actually protecting people's childhoods is a big thing, and like, and owning up to like, there's some things that like, I know that like grandparent generations were like, oh, we're gonna say that we know what we're doing, and then you're gonna just do what I tell you to do because I'm gonna tell you that I know what I'm doing, and it's like, that's not actually helpful to anybody. Let's actually just be truthful about like what we do and do not know, and not being an adult does not make you any more knowledgeable about something if we're all in the same place of understanding. Like, it doesn't help that you're an adult and you're like lying about it. It actually helps whenever you're clear, and then we can all kind of figure out what to do from there.
Yeah.
So I like when people do that in general, and I like that the story picks up on that as well.
Yeah. Amari's phone buzzes, so she gets a text from her mom. So she's like, okay, she's gotten the news that camp's been canceled. And then Bertha has a hold on. Yeah, so the phone buzzes at the same time that Bertha stops in the room. So Bertha says, this is a level 5. She's reading from a piece of paper and says, this is a level 5 notification. Amari Peters and Elsie Rodriguez are to report to the transporter room in the Department of Supernatural Licenses and Records right away. They are to bring necessary equipment, and they will already know what the equipment that is. Signed, Director Van Helsing. Bertha's like, get to it then. He was pretty clear. So they hurry off. Amari has her stun stick and sky sprints. Elsie straps on her backpack. Bertha gives her the note because they'll need it to get through the security checkpoints. They get into the elevators, and it's Mischief who asks for an ID card or hall pass. And he's like very chill. Elsie is like, what? When did you start acting like a proper elevator? Mischief sighs and says, my dirty rascal chip gets deactivated during lockdowns.
Why do you have a dirty rascal chip?
Because they're trying to give every elevator its own personality.
I'm just saying, what are the, like, as he has a dirty rascal chip, is Lord Kensington's like posh, like Queen's English chip? Or, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, what is
it deactivated? Chips? I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. And then they have the one whispers. It's like, okay, you're gonna be ridiculously loud, like.
Yeah, like, or the slow one. Like, is a slow one chipped to be slow?
Right.
Like, why would you do that? Like,
for fun, just for fun, you know. Spice up.
Like, you want. There's always a chance that someone's gonna be late because they got on a slow elevator. Like, you always want there to be a possibility. Like, for what?
You want to teach your cadets to be discerning.
Yeah, make sure you have enough time before you're.
You could always end up on that slow elevator, so make sure you have enough time. Don't depend on getting one of them efficient elevators.
As a New Yorker who plays with time in the subway, That would never work for me.
It won't work, but
No.
you know.
I think also it could just be because it's silly. Yeah. Or like, what? Mm-hmm. Why not?
This world is very serious in certain ways. May as well play with whimsy where you can. Elevators, exactly. It is.
Well, you think about it, like the elevators and stuff are probably programmed by the same department that Elsie's in, and Elsie's got her whole like sneak candles, and they just be doing shit. They just be
just because they can
magical sciencing all up. Why not?
Why not?
Wait, which elevator was it that allowed you to press the button in the Department of Hidden Places?
Oh, I don't think it was an elevator. I think it was like they were just in like a hallway or something, if I remember correctly.
I thought it was an elevator that took you like under a certain thing and you had to hit it as you went by.
I can't remember.
Okay. Yeah. But I just think that's funny as a programming to like, for all of those.
But I don't know if that makes things better for Robyn. They're not, like, it is still human controlled. They are not evolving. He hasn't broken free of that protocol. Like,
well, because here's the problem. This is what doesn't make it better for me. It's because, like we said, someone with a sense of humor that works for them gave Mischief this like rascal chip or whatever they called it.
And, right, like what was the humor criteria? Also, did y'all have a comedian like thing where you had like
have y'all ever thought about some of the shit that like angry white boys, white adolescents find funny?
Exactly. Who decided what the comedy was? Like
exactly.
What was the process to decide the Bureau's underlying comedy? Like if BNC was like one of our values is comedy, right? How will we decide what kind of comedy was gonna be the comedy?
But it's also like that's like the starting point. This is why I don't like AI, because that's the starting point, and I don't trust people in general. And any smart AI, I think there was just a story about this, how like drones, some like in the military or something, some like programmed drones, and they had like human review, and then the drones very quickly were like, these humans are not reviewing well, and so they adapted to like remove the human review or to get rid of the humans that were doing the review or the overrides. So like if that's the starting point, whoever, Lord hope and pray that their comedy and their idea of Mischief is like decent, then the AI learns, but it's learning from like, and Mischief is like, Mischief could wreak some havoc with that chip still working. So as it's learning.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely not the elevator you get on whenever you're trying to do like international affairs or some level of diplomacy. Like that could cause an international incident or like a creature dignitary incident.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Comedy translates. It's hard thing. It's hard to translate across culture. Like it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they head up to the Department of Supernatural Licenses and Records. It's completely empty, with only one lady seated at a booth. They walk over and she clears her throat loudly. Please grab a ticket. And Amari's like, we're the only people here, but rules are rules. So they literally go grab a ticket, sit down, and wait until the speaker chimes, now serving A1 at the first window. I'm just like, ooh.
Bureaucracy. I love it. You know why? Yeah. I hate it. I hate it.
It gave me DMV flashbacks.
This is actually it reminded me of that scene in like the very early episode of Loki where it was just like bureaucracy, but then the person didn't grab the number.
But then they got zapped whenever they tried to run around.
Yep. And Loki I guess I'm taking this ticket. All right.
Right. You may as well. You may as well just go in and take the ticket.
Mm-hmm. So they're let through, so they show her the pass. She lets them into the main hall. There's an agent there. She shows the pass too. He's kind of confused looking at it, then has another agent look. So they're like, this seems weird. But they end up getting let through. They get to the transporter room. Dylan pops out from behind one of the glass tubes. And then, sorry. pops out from behind one of the glass tubes. Amari says, "You do know we can't teleport out of here during a lockdown. The security computer will shut us down." Dylan says, "True, but only if you're trying to teleport outside of the Bureau." So they're going to teleport somewhere inside the Bureau instead. And so Dylan's like, "Just trust me on this one. I've plugged in the destination." So they go over to the teleporter that's powered on. But as soon as Amari steps into the glass tube and Dylan follows, the agents are running after them. They triple checked the note now and are like, "Wait, this actually makes no sense. What are y'all doing?" One shouts, "Stop." Elsie is between the agents and the teleporter. And so she can't get on. She takes a deep, trembling breath, looks back over her shoulder and says, "Go." Dylan mashes the giant red button. The transporter begins to hum. At the sound, the agents rush toward us. And Amari expects Elsie to run, but she stands her ground. And then Elsie breathes fire.
Bam! Also, though,
love it.
Love it. But also, hate how quickly Dylan hit that button.
I know. He didn't even think like, no, you can make it.
Wait for Elsie.
He didn't even say you can make it.
He wasn't even trying to think of a plan to get around those people.
Didn't even give a thanks, Elsie. We'll be back for you.
He didn't even ask Elsie to check her bag of tricks. He was like, "You ain't got a trick for this?" Nope.
Said, say less.
Say less.
But Elsie breathes fire. And I love that for her.
Elsie breathes fire.
She breathed fire in a certain direction, but we're not gonna talk about that right now.
So Dylan and Amari reappear inside a wide concrete room. Along the walls are large stalls with all sorts of crazy vehicles parked inside of them, from floating bicycles to flying saucers. Dylan starts forward, but then turns to look at Amari and is like, "Did Elsie just..." And Amari grins and says, "I think she really did." Which
I love that Amari is also like, "That's my girl." Breathing fire. Like, she's excited. I love them. Right. I love them so much.
So they get halfway across this large space where before Amari sees where they're going, to the Jolly Roger, which is the ship that belonged to Vanquish. I did not realize it was called that. It's like, what kind of... It's just not very cool, but
it's based
I'm not expecting it to be, because the Bureau is like, the way that the Bureau is, it's not surprising, but it's also like, y'all have this name like Vanquish, and like Vanquish on there, Jolly Roger just sounds very... The vibe.
Jolly Roger is
okay.
Jolly Roger is a traditional English name for flags flown to identify a pirate ship.
Yeah.
Before or during an attack.
Yeah. Which I'm like, cool. Like, I know that. It's definitely giving pirate ship vibes, but the name itself is really not...
It's not doing it for you?
Not doing it, no.
I mean, but if they're like the rebel like agents of the Bureau they're not really considered superstars of the Bureau.
Yeah.
But I guess they're supposed to put fear in the hearts of whoever they're coming across. I don't know, bruh.
They break rules. They don't make rules. I don't know.
It's fine. It's fine. It worked for them. I'm sure they've got replicas and toys and,
For the low cost of $19.95.
Yeah, they got a brand deal for it, so it's fine. And just where do you think you're headed? Here comes Agent Fiona stepping outside the stall labeled Winged Chariot. 3 thoughts jump into Amari's head. 1, they're caught. 2, Agent Fiona is definitely cool enough to pull off a Winged Chariot. And 3, they're so caught. I like how her brain is like, nope, that tracks. But it's also like, oops.
She's like, my hero for real. Right? But also,
dang. So Dylan and Amari try to give completely different explanations at the same time. Fiona crosses her arms and looks Amari straight in the eye. Her whole body goes stiff. And then Fiona blinks in surprise and says, "Magnus put you up to this? Or do you think he just wants you tracking down that key?" So she definitely read which I don't think I clicked when I was reading it earlier, but read her intentions. And then Amari's like, "He said we have to get our hands on that key." Fiona claps her hand against her forehead. I don't understand what that man could be thinking. You're just trainees, for heaven's sake. But Amari explains that Magnus got framed, so he couldn't do it himself. And Fiona's like, told that bumbling idiot director, there's no one more loyal than Beauregard. I keep forgetting his name.
His name is Beauregard.
There's no one more loyal than Beauregard in the whole bloody bureau. She holds up her left wrist where there's a device has been cuffed. Van Helsing's even tracking her movements in case she's guilty of helping. She can't step 1 foot outside of the bureau without setting off an alarm that would have 50 agents coming after her. Like, she doesn't have a kid of her own at home to check in on, which this is the first we're hearing that she has a baby. But also Van Helsing again is being trash. Because like Magnus has been framed, he's going with it, and then it's also like limiting Fiona's restrictions. So it definitely feels like he's going like this is a convenient way to kind of like get them out of the picture. Like he wasn't actively trying to do it, but this was like, oh, bet. Like, you know what I mean?
It worked.
Yeah.
So it feels very fascist. Like, it feels very like police state. Like, let me monitor to make sure you're loyal to me and not to like the job. Like, I want to know that you're being loyal to what I said for you to do.
Exactly. And like with no, at least there's like, as flimsy as it is or unbelievable as it is, there's some level of evidence against Magnus. There's nothing against Fiona besides the fact that she knows and works with their partners. But also, more importantly, which is not important at all in the scheme of the story, but it's important to me because I love mess and drama. Who is that baby daddy? Is it Magnus?
I know.
Or she is single mama.
I assume
it's not Magnus's.
I assume she's a single mom too.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she didn't say baby. She said a kitty.
Yeah.
Kitty. So we don't know how old this child is.
It could be a goat. It could be a goat.
Stop. I assumed it was a kid, like a child.
I'm pretty sure it is a kid.
But also, like a child who's young, like one who is not an adult. She doesn't seem that old anyway, but like maybe not a baby, but like anywhere between
like a child,
like anywhere between like 5. Well, I would say like 5 and like a teen.
I would say
that the kid could be younger than Amari, could be a couple years older. Like
I was gonna say the kid is probably definitely younger than Amari, or the like minimum age to train, because then I would see her wanting to have the kid at least where she could see them on a regular basis at camp.
Yeah, that's true. So probably younger than Amari. But yeah, I definitely guessed or thought single mom.
So did I, but now I'm thinking goat.
And Magnus has shown the qualities to be the father that stepped up. So
Yep.
And kids are, but like goat kids are rambunctious, so it could also be a goat. Like you do have to keep an eye on them.
They be doing shit. They be
climbing stuff. They be on top of stuff. You be like, how
y'all are so funny. This is definitely.
I will also say that Agent Mac had a kid, and he was a great father. Well, was he? I don't know.
I feel like he was a father.
He tried.
I feel like Magnus.
He certainly did fathering of some kind.
Oh my god.
He tried. He tried. He did what he thought was. He tried.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I do think that we have seen how Magnus is with like Amari and just with Amari specifically, but also just like, again, we talked about like like priorities or whatever. Like he definitely seems like, I don't know. Well, maybe we'll meet the kid at some point.
And if we do and it's a goat, can this be the audience question?
It's not going to be a goat.
How old do you think Fiona's kid is?
No,
or is it a goat?
I feel like this question. I feel like a good audience question probably would be like a vehicle. Like if you pulled up to the magical garage, like which vehicle would you take? Like the winged chariot, the flying ship, a saucer. Like what would you want to take out of the garage? Because there's a variety of whimsical vehicles to pop out of there with.
I'm going for a car. I'm not trying to fly. a ship, or a horse. Is the chariot? I'm assuming the chariot is pulled by
a Pegasus. I would be hyped to meet a Pegasus. As long as it was in the a-hole, I would be down to meet a Pegasus.
I'd be down to meet a Pegasus. I'd be down to hang out with, be a companion of, but I would not be down to fly on a Pegasus.
No, I'm not
to have a Pegasus fly me. I'm not steering anything that is sentient. Not doing it. We've seen how the TARDIS rolls when the doctor, who's supposed to be all whatever, is like, I want to go here. And the TARDIS is like, nah, you don't know what you're talking about. We go in here instead. So I would like a car.
But they could be sentient cars. They could be an AI car. What you gonna do if you have a Knight Rider?
I know I ain't getting no AI car.
What if that's the only option? The only car options are the sentient AI cars. Then what do you do?
I'm gonna walk. Them sky sprints doing. Sky sprints have AI in them. I'm a sky sprint myself to where I need to go. But also, I'm not trying to fly. I'm not trying to fly. Is there a train? I'll take a steam train. It would be slow and inefficient. But I'd get there and be relatively safe.
I would like to take a magical streetcar, like one of those old
Oh my gosh.
Y'all are like, we're on our way, and I'm like, here I come, guys. Right behind you. My bicep would be amazing. This is a podcast, so y'all can't see me pumping the hand cart.
Wow. Okay, so Amari realizes that the director may have done her a favor when he demoted her. She says, I'm just a trainee and not officially a part of the Bureau, so I can't get the Bureau in trouble for going after the key. I think you should trust Agent Magnus's judgment. Fiona shakes her head. Heaven help me. This is what we've come to. She gives them her phone number, her cell number, and says, at the first sign of trouble, text me your coordinates and I'll be right there, tracking device or not. So it's nice to know that they'll they're going to go, but they will have backup. It's not like it's just up to them, period, I guess.
I also still, again, love this world so much that, there are magicians and Pegasus and a chariot and a flying ship called the Jolly Roger. But their backup is here's my cell phone number. Here's hoping you have a good coordinates. Wherever you
are. Exactly.
Drop your
Drop share your location.
Share your location and I'll be there.
Send me your location. Can that be the title of this one?
Send me your location.
Drop the pen.
So Amari types the number into her phone. Fiona gives them another look like she can't believe this is happening. But then goes to open the hangar doors. When they get in the ship, Dylan admits he's only ever flown the Jolly Roger on called to action Agents Against the World. So they got video games.
They are
as
video
well.
game characters.
It's very serious. Right. This is really not a game.
Look, they put this franchise into the their socks are franchise,
and it's crazy because they didn't even do what everybody thinks they did.
But again, security theater, they just need to think of these people with these outsized personalities and stories around them, so the mythos, so that they can keep up the concept that the Bureau is doing its job well, amazingly, exceeding all expectations.
Yeah,
that's how well the Bureau performs.
I like my brother. He's cool. He's cool. I'm not playing a video game where he is the main character.
No.
Immediately no.
You're not gonna walk in a room. You're not gonna walk in a room and be find me playing you as a no.
I'd definitely be the bad guy so that I could fight them.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know what I mean? You're
I'm definitely not playing as my sibling, but I'm not playing as his partner either.
No. The ego alone.
Definitely
no.
So, how much different could it be from could real life be from a video game? Which obviously a lot. They back into the wall twice but then he gets things under control. Thankfully, Agent Fiona can't see their rough start from inside the hangar control room.
Or can she?
Or can she? Exactly. Yeah. She's probably in there like, damn, I can't believe this.
Shaking her head. She's like, I need them to go on and call me right now. I want to sneak on the ship and we'll figure this out.
Oh my god, I can't. How did we get here? So Amari types in Henry Underhill, Booney's medical clinic into the navigation system. And it says route found, autopilot. I'm like, wow, shout out to the ship for knowing they don't know what the heck they're doing. So she presses her fingers to the go button and the two of them dash into the night sky. And that's where we've left off. We're off to
the boonies.
We're off to
the boonies.
We're going to the
for
boonies.
The Black Key.
Yeah. Crazy.
It's funny because like the Black Keys is a band and one of the musicians is like, I feel like maybe both of them are from the Midwest, but like they could be from the boonies. Yeah. So like if that's what B.B. Alston was like alluding to with pulling these different parts of this characterization together is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
where you find the Black Keys and the boonies.
I mean, they're from Ohio. They're from.
There's country in the. No,
Midwest. I know. There are some boonies in Ohio. Trust and believe. There's some. So,
I got family from Louisville. I know what to be. I mean, I know
Louisville's what it is. In Kentucky, so
I know, and Indiana and Ohio are right there.
I know.
All right, MVP.
I gotta give it to Elsie.
Same. She breathed fire.
She breathed the fire. You know.
And she for all the. Yes, this is coming from a place of probably ingrained in her own mind of her showing bravery, and this is her moment. She's probably thought to be who Amari needs her to be and be brave. But really what she's doing is when push comes to shove, she's like, I'm going to always do what I can for my friend Amari. And if that means I got to step out of my reluctance to breathe fire, I'm going to step into it then. And she just does that. So I love that for her, that she kind of stepped out of her reticence to be the dragon that she is, because like that was the really thing that was keeping her back from breathing fire.
Yeah, she breathed, she breathed fire. Because I was really trying to give it to Amari. I feel like Amari did all that she could do to be the MVP of this chapter, but until the moment Elsie turned around and fire came out of her mouth, Amari was my MVP.
But it's also that like the whole reason she was able to breathe fire in the first place is because she like was being brave, and so it's like, you know, the culmination of like her character development too. But also she's the dragon, so same. I was, as soon as that happened, I was like, yep, she's my MVP. There's no question about it. Like I give her like for it, but especially because she breathed fire. That's
I'm giving her like 70% of my MVP and like a little 30 for like Fiona, because Fiona is the adult that the kids need in this moment. And she had like 2 seconds with them, but those 2 seconds are a valuable 2 seconds for them to know that they have somebody they can reach out to if they need her.
Yeah.
She's like the Kim Possible for them. Like, call me, beat me. If you want to reach me. If you want to page me, that's okay.
That's okay.
All right, then. I think we're
that's universal.
Well, no, because it is. I really wanted to give it to like the Bureau as a whole, but then again, you have to go to try to give it to one person.
He is the primary
primary figurehead But it's not just that he's a figurehead; that he's actively.
But I'm saying because like even the way that the Bureau in general like moved in this situation, like in this chapter, you know what I mean, like being like, okay, we don't know what's going on, we need to like protect the kids, send them out, like all of that is, I think they in general, like their protocol for lockdown makes a lot of sense and feels like they're moving in a responsible way. Yeah, whereas like every roadblock they hit in this chapter is Director Van Helsing specifically.
Yep,
It's his protocols, it's his ego, it's his not really doing his due diligence.
It's the him not even doing his
he's
job.
The one they have to get around.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I also still think that there are, again, I feel like one thing that we've seen, especially this was like in the last chapter, but carries over, is the Bureau as a whole not fully understanding what they're up against. Because he could come in, he has not been the director of supernatural investigations his entire life. Like, he had to go through the process too. Like, he's only been there for, so before him, even though it's probably been another Van Helsing, maybe I should just bench the Van Helsing, but like before him, whoever the director was, you could see agents who would know some of this stuff. You can't unlearn, I mean, you can unlearn, but you're not going to unknow some of these like clear things. And so I just feel like historically that like gap in knowledge and that like lack of intellectual curiosity to know exactly what you're up against and the capabilities and all of the things that you could potentially be facing, especially when you claim for it to be so dangerous, is like, it's just a fail. It's a huge fail for me. So, but I gave it to Van Helsing because he is the figurehead, and like you guys said, like a lot of the worst impulses do stem from him.
Like, he overrode the elevator's protocol to go to the chief. It was going to go to someone who was higher than him, and he overrode it. Like, what is that if not like ego unchecked? Like, it is a Bureau problem for not checking his ego, but also it is a him problem for him doing that.
Yes, this is true. Well. Thank you for listening. We will be back next week for chapter 32.
Wizard Team is brought to you by Black Nerds Create. If you want to keep up with our other content, you can check out our website at blacknerdscreate.com. Follow us on Twitter at blacknerdscreate, at Yana Wrote It, at Robyn_Rambles, and at Porshèa. Follow us on Instagram and Tumblr at Black Nerds Create, and subscribe to our monthly magic newsletter. Don't forget to rate and review us in our numerous podcasts like Culture by Culture and everything else you can find on our delightful channel, in every platform that you can find us.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.